Power doesn't always arrive with fanfare. Sometimes it comes disguised, as retreat, as silence, as surrender. But when the world's most powerful economy steps back, we must ask, why? America has ended its latest tariff war. Markets cheer, allies exhale, but beneath the calm something is brewing because history has taught us, before every storm, there is a pause, and this pause may be America's deadliest weapon yet. History remembers conquest, but real power lies in how empires retreat. Not every withdrawal is weakness, sometimes it is positioning. A chess player never wins by attacking every square, but by letting you think he's losing until he traps the king. Today, the U.S. has backed off from a tariff war it ignited, but the question isn't what it ended, it's what it's preparing for. America has always known how to pause. It paused before D-Day. It paused before the Cold War went hot. It pauses not out of fear, but because it believes time is a weapon. In 2023 to 2024, the U.S. economy faced shocks: post-pandemic inflation, war-driven energy spikes, BRICS expansion, digital yuan rising. The tariff war added weight, but ending it? That was never surrender. Sources suggest a classified White House initiative, Project Resolve, exploring hybrid economic warfare. Not tariffs, not tanks, but digital dominance, financial entrapment, algorithmic leverage. While the headlines watched Washington, the real war rooms were in Manhattan. Wall Street isn't reacting to policy, it's engineering it. Insiders suggest Wall Street has quietly redirected billions, weaponized capital to flood or drain economies. Investment bans, liquidity cutoffs, regulatory chokeholds, the battlefield, emerging markets, the weapon, trust, or the lack of it. And in finance, trust is everything. This isn't speculation, it's an orchestrated storm, because when America retreats, it doesn't leave quietly, it leaves shadows and strings. Markets are creatures of illusion. They don't see strategy, they react to headlines. And when America announced the end of its trade war, the world cheered. China called it a diplomatic victory. The EU said stability was restored, but they were all watching the surface. While the world looked for strategy in speeches and tariffs, America buried its blueprint in bureaucracy. A series of memos, papers, and working groups quietly shaped a vision no one saw, because no one was meant to. Known internally as Project Nexus, it wasn't a trade deal or defense pact. It was a total re-engineering of global influence, built around data, debt, and disruption. The plan wasn't to control markets, it was to control the gravity around which other markets orbit. And that gravity is no longer just the dollar, it's the signal, financial data, network access, AI-driven credit ratings. America's new battlefield isn't oil or gold, it's infrastructure of trust. Project Nexus reportedly gives the U.S. the ability to selectively isolate nations, not through sanctions but through deprioritization. Their data slows, their credit drops, their trade routes get digitally fogged, and no one declares war. You don't need to win a war if your enemy never finds the battlefield. That's the genius, and the danger, of Nexus. Some traps don't spring with sound, they tighten in silence, and some nations are already ensnared, they just don't realize it yet. The trap isn't occupation, it's integration. When your economy runs on another country's infrastructure, your sovereignty is cosmetic. What looks like convenience is dependency, and dependency, in geopolitics, is vulnerability. Across dozens of capitals, finance ministers are waking up to a strange realization. They're not being attacked, they're being ignored. And in today's world, to be economically ignored by America is to be strangled softly. The response is underway. Digital independence, payment alternatives, multipolar finance, but it's not fast enough, because America isn't trying to destroy its rivals, it's letting them walk into a room and slowly locking the door. There are weapons nations build, and hope never to use. America may already have one. Invisible, silent, and devastating. The economic doomsday switch. What if the U.S., in a single coordinated action, froze all dollar transactions involving rival states? What if it shut off cloud access, revoked export licenses, triggered a domino of defaults? a silent EMP across the financial world. This isn't fiction, it's modeled, rehearsed, theorized, even referenced in closed-door World Bank simulations, a currency weapon fusion strike. Insiders hint at protocols designed to weaponize trust architecture, undermining competitor banks, disabling payment gateways, slashing credit across regions. Such a strike would spark retaliation, economic partitions, global decoupling, financial Cold War. But from the ashes, something new could emerge. America wouldn't just be trying to win, it would be trying to reset the game. The idea that collapse equals weakness is a luxury of stable times. But history has shown us, some powers don't fear chaos, they engineer it. What if collapse wasn't an accident, but a calibration? A way to trigger fear, devalue rivals, and emerge holding the only oxygen mask, the dollar. Every time the world fell, the U.S. printed, recovered, expanded. Because when you own the printer, recession is strategy. Insiders speak of an engineered reset window, a period of high volatility used to reshuffle debt hierarchies and trade power. America doesn't need to conquer the world. It just needs to make sure no one else can stand while it kneels, then rise faster. A controlled collapse. Devastating for most, lucrative for one. Around the world, nations are moving, some toward BRICS, some toward digital sovereignty, all with one goal: escape. The idea, if you can't break the system, build your own. But is true escape even possible anymore? Even when the currency changes, the infrastructure remains. Even when the flags shift, the rules remain. Escape isn't just about trade, it's about architecture. The illusion of choice is this: you think you've exited the game, but the board still belongs to someone else. The next great battle isn't East versus West, it's dependence versus freedom. And the question isn't who controls the world, but whether the world is ready to stop being controlled. Presidents hold speeches, generals hold weapons, but architects hold the future. They are rarely elected, often unseen, yet their signatures shape global power. The tariff war ended, the battlefield changed, but the war never stopped. The next American strike won't come through ports or products, it will arrive as policy, protocol, prediction. For the first time in decades, power no longer flows from a single capital. The world is recalibrating, slowly, painfully, but undeniably. From BRICS to the EU, from African unions to ASEAN alliances, a new question echoes. Can the world exist without a single center of gravity? The idea of multipolarity is seductive, a world where no one dominates, where checks exist against every power, where peace comes not from strength but from balance. But balance is fragile, and America knows that multipolarity is expensive, unpredictable, and slow. That's why it fights it, not with armies but with architecture. For multipolarity to succeed, it needs more than ambition. It needs resilience, in data, in money, in minds. Because the moment one pole leans harder, the balance collapses. The world may want balance, but balance requires vigilance. And in silence, in trade deals, in cloud contracts, the tilt has already begun. In the 20th century, wars were fought for territory. In the 21st century, wars are fought for truth. Because the final weapon is narrative. Control the story, and you don't need to control the battlefield. If the world believes your version first, everything else becomes defense. This isn't journalism, this is information architecture, a war of impressions, of suggestion, of silence and spotlight. America's greatest export may no longer be the dollar, but the story, the values, the villains, the victory arc, every app, every headline, every hero. Power today is shaped before policy, it is coded into culture. Before a war begins, the world has already chosen its side, not based on facts, but feelings. And feelings are programmed. The final weapon doesn't fire. It whispers, and the world listens, before it even realizes it's chosen a side. The storm hasn't hit, not yet, but the winds are shifting. Every system, every summit, every silence has brought us here, to the brink. The real power today doesn't belong to governments alone. It belongs to people who ask questions, who resist silence, who refuse to live under architecture they didn't help design. Sovereignty now means more than flags and anthems. It means bandwidth, currency, code, narrative. And the time has come to choose between silence and sovereignty, the silent order. Cinematic geopolitical intelligence. Subscribe for the battles no one hears until they shape the world.